Welcome to the UPMC Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show.
Good evening, everyone. A live look from the North Shore outside of Iheanachor Stadium. What a weekend. What an event for Western Pennsylvania. Welcome inside the KDKA TV studios for Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show. I'm Bob Pompeani, flanked by the quarterback of the program, Charlie Batch, who was everywhere today. Had to clone yourself. Rich Walsh will be along as he has spent the entire weekend at Steeler headquarters. And Pittsburgh was up to the task of being the host city, Charlie, and there have been some tremendous reviews. Just announced, how about 805,000 people? Man, what a tremendous design and execution for this event.
It was electric, and the city of Pittsburgh showed out. Western Pennsylvania showed out. And when you see everybody that was involved in this once-of-a-lifetime experience, they came out and represented. It makes me proud to be from Pittsburgh. Congratulations to everyone, including the Steelers, for Dan Rooney for making this possible.
Yeah, what an event, and they had to be impressed in the NFL. Let's take a full look now at the Steelers draft board from the weekend. Lots of picks on day 2 and 3 for the Steelers. Steelers took a tackle, of course, at the top with Arizona State's Max Iheanachor. And then on Friday, the Steelers traded up to take wide receiver Jeremy Bernard of Alabama. That was followed by the one that has been talked about the most, Penn State quarterback Drew Aller at 76. The third round was completed with the Steelers adding Georgia cornerback Dalen Everett and a player who Steeler fans are simply going to love, Iowa lineman Jennings Dunker, the mullet maniac on the offensive line. And then on Saturday, the Hawkeyes continue coming off the board with the addition of return specialist Cade Weigand. And then Indiana fullback Riley Nowakowski, and he was selected in the 5th round, followed by Gabriel Rubio of Notre Dame, Robert Spears Jennings, the safety from Oklahoma, and then the best story of the night, Eli Heidenreich of Mount Lebanon, the product, the Naval Academy member who will play in Pittsburgh. He was the 7th round pick, and man, what an amazing career he had. From Mount Lebanon to Navy, he was one of these guys who just, you can tell the discipline. And when you go to the Naval Academy, certainly you have got to be able to do what you have to do discipline-wise. He made a commitment to this country, but now he's going to have a chance to play potentially here.
What a phenomenal story. I had a chance to talk to him in the green room, and he had no problem with waiting until his name was called. Had a chance to sit with his family, and I said, hopefully your name is called with the Steelers. And lo and behold, it happened. And everybody over there on North Shore, they were amazed. They were so excited and celebrating. What a moment. Congratulations for Eli.
What emotion, and his family there. Everyone, they trotted him out. Roger Goodell, the commissioner, hung around. And normally you don't see that in the 7th round, but he was there, and he greeted Heidenreich as he took the stage. What a career he's had. He's one of those Swiss Army knives, although I'll call him a Swiss Navy knife in this case. All right, now let's talk about the 1st round pick, Max Iheanachor. He was a surprise, quite frankly, as not many people thought he would be their choice at that point. Apparently, they were targeting a wide receiver, as we know, in Micaiah Lemon. That didn't work out that way. So, Charlie, let's talk about Max Iheanachor in detail. This is a player who does not have a ton of football experience so far, but the ceiling for this former Arizona Sun Devil is very high, according to scouts. After losing out to Lemon, they had plenty of other highly ranked receivers to go to, but they chose Iheanachor. He's been a rapid player on the rise.
This guy is a big man, and when you look at just him play, I love his footwork right there, and it lets me know that he was a multi-sport athlete. And when you go back and research him, that's hit basketball and soccer, and those are things that you want to see because that lets you know these linemen, they are nimble with their feet and they won't be on the ground and they can move. I like the pick.
Yeah, we'll see. He's going to have time. We'll find out if he's going to start or work his way up to that on a flexible offensive line. For insight on the south side, we go to Rich Walsh. He's at Steeler headquarters. He's been there pretty much all week long, and a very busy day for you, Rich, and it's a very successful draft, it looks like.
Yeah, it is. What a story with the Steelers' 1st-round pick, an unconventional story. Max Iheanachor, try saying that name. We're going to have to get used to saying it a lot. He grew up in Nigeria. He moved to the United States at 13. He didn't even know what football was. He grew up playing soccer and basketball, just like Charlie said, and then decided to try his hand at football in 2021, and I'd venture to say it worked out pretty well for Iheanachor, who was in Pittsburgh on Friday morning, arriving at Pittsburgh International around 10 o'clock, getting on an early flight from California. The Steelers cameras caught his reaction driving through the Fort Pitt tunnels, which is always fun to watch when players arrive and see the city for the first time. He called Pittsburgh beautiful and can't wait to get his career started in black and gold.
Man, it's beautiful. I just remember that tunnel, coming out that tunnel, and just bam, just hit me. I was like, okay, yeah, liked it. Man, I mean, it still feel like it's crazy. It's crazy still, man. I don't know if it's ever gonna die, but it's just really exciting, man. Just being blessed. All you can ask for in this life is opportunity, man. You know, God, you pray for stuff. You just gotta do the work, and everything else falling apart. So yesterday's unbelievable. It's just a surreal moment for just me and the family. Family was there, friends was there, coaches that was with me where it all started, JUCO. So I mean, just got to really say thank you again to them in person, man. So it was really a special moment. I'm happy I got to share that with them.
And check out the Iheanachor file. It looks good on paper. 6'5", 321, a 7-foot wingspan, which is what you want from a tackle. Moved to L.A. at 13, second fastest offensive lineman in the draft, and allowed 0 sacks at ASU last year. And this is how they got Iheanachor. He's a Steeler because Makai Lemon is not a Steeler. Omar Khan was actually on the phone with Makai Lemon, and then Philly traded up and swooped him up over the Steelers. And Omar explained exactly what happened after the draft wrapped up today.
You know, when the draft happens, there's a lot of excitement that goes on and there was no ill intent, and made the call. But as I mentioned, when you have a good process and you trust your board, and the draft throws curveballs at you in every round. Trust me, it happens throughout the draft, and some public, some not, and things just sort of take care of themselves.
And guys, no matter what happened, I've been here all weekend, and I can tell you this: the Steelers are legitimately really excited about Max Iheanachor.
All right, Rich, thanks very much. Very interesting and tough situation, as you explained. They found themselves pivoting from Makai Lemon to Iheanachor. And Charlie, now with Max in the mix, what do you think the plan is for this offensive line heading into the offseason workouts?
Yeah, without the news of Broderick Jones, I don't think this pick happens. But now that it happens, I expect him probably to go to right tackle. I would think that Troy Fontana would actually start working left tackle, only because of the experience that he has there. And I think that's the easy fix, but a lot of that is going to depend on how much he's able to pick up this offense. So wait and see, but I expect him to be on the right side. Yeah,
there'll be a lot of flexible abilities in there by those offensive linemen. They're going to have to play different positions perhaps to start this season. We're just getting started here on the 2026 Steelers wrap-up show. When we come back, a closer look at the day 2 selections, including the pick of Drew Aller. It's all yet to come right here on KDKA.
Welcome back to the UPMC Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show.
All right, it's time for a closer look at day 2 selections for the Steelers. Interesting that they had 1 second-round choice, 3 third-round picks, and were able to keep the same number, even though they traded around for a couple of their selections. So, versatile Alabama wide receiver Jeremy Bernard was the first selection for the Steelers on Friday, adding to a wide receiving room that features DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. The Steelers followed that up with a splash pick at 76, selecting Ohio native and Penn State quarterback Drew Aller. And they finished the night taking Dalen Everett, the corner out of Georgia, and then Jennings Dunker, who will likely slot in as a guard along that offensive line. Charlie, let's talk about Jeremy Bernard. How does he help the wide receiving room?
Yeah, I think when you look at him, he's just a smooth route runner. And this is a guy that is going to come into this offense. Mike McCarthy, he loves to throw the football, but you need options. He provides that for this team right here. This is going to allow this offense to spread the field and putting points on the board. I'm excited about what he's bringing to this offense. How much is that going to happen? A lot depends on him, on how fast he picks this system up.
All right, the Steelers were projected to be in the running for Drew Aller, and they made it happen on Friday night. The Penn State quarterback staying here in Pennsylvania. Aller was at home in Ohio with his family and friends when the call came in from the Pittsburgh Steelers. This after Carson Beck was taken by Arizona with the first pick in that 3rd round. The trip was short, so he actually showed up in person at Draft Theater this afternoon, and he was there with the other day 2 selections. Charlie, we know you have a personal connection with the Allers, so what was your thought, Steelers taking him at that point?
I was excited about the pick. It was a full circle moment for me because I played with his father at Eastern Michigan. He was a tight end for me 30 years ago, and it was amazing to see him. And, of course, I met Drew at a very young age, but to see him develop into the quarterback that he's become. If you watch him, this guy is very tall. He reminds you, he had a lot of similarities to Ben Roethlisberger. I think that excited the Steelers organization. He can throw the football. Again, what is that going to look like? I know he is excited. Congratulations to the Aller family because they worked their tail off to get to this point.
Certainly did, and he overcame a broken ankle to make that possible. As the Steelers continue to look for their eventual franchise quarterback, though, it doesn't hurt to keep swinging and get one here. Rich Walsh is back live at Steeler headquarters. What attracted Steelers to Aller, Rich?
Well, guys, the Steelers spent a lot of time with quarterback prospects this offseason, and they got the guy they wanted, a guy that potentially would have been a first-round draft pick if he came out last year or if he didn't get hurt this season. Aller had high hopes for this season, but it didn't work out as planned. His season-ended injury after a few games with an ankle injury. The Steelers met with Aller multiple times, visited here a couple weeks ago. He has all the physical gifts and traits and tools, and Steelers QB coach Tom Arth has history with Aller and knew it was the right choice for the Steelers.
You saw the talent, you saw the ability, you certainly saw the stature and, all of those things. But, to see what he's accomplished and how far he's come is really cool for me to see. And now to have the chance to have him here in Pittsburgh and in our quarterback room, I think is outstanding. He is, again, has rare size. He's, 6'5", 235 pounds. He has big hands. And I think what's most exciting, certainly when you're talking about the quarterback position, is can this guy throw the football? And I think he throws it as well as any quarterback, in this draft class.
Well, Aller is an Ohio kid just like another former great Steelers quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger. He grew up a Browns fan, but he said that's not the case anymore. Guys?
All right, real quick, Charlie. Thanks, Rich. I want to ask you about this quarterback room now. Everyone anticipates Aaron Rodgers coming back, but it's still not done. Where does this leave Aller, Will Howard, and Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a crowded quarterback room, so you don't have to necessarily make a move right now. Let it play itself out, and, of course, once you get to training camp, you can figure those things out. This just reminds me of the quarterback room when we have Ben Roethlisberger, Byron Leftwich, myself, and Dennis Dixon. We figured out a way to make it happen for a couple years. Let's see how it plays out.
It's going to be interesting for sure. Jennings Dunker is an interesting character, to say the least. I like to call him Mullet Maniac or Mullet Muller. He has a chance to take a spot up because of the departure of Isaac Seumalo. He left in free agency. So, Charlie, how do you see Dunker as a player that will he quickly fit in, or what's going to be his role to start?
Yeah, he's a mauler, and this is a guy that can step right in and play at day one if he had to. So they're excited about the pick. I had a chance to talk to him. He wants to play here because he knows the physicality of what the offensive line and the tradition of what they're bringing to the offensive line group. So look for him to be make an impact and make it a chance for him to play right away.
Yeah, he really should. He's going to be a fan favorite. When we come back, we're going to talk about the selections made from the North Shore today. You're watching 2026 Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show right here on KDKA TV.
Welcome back to the UPMC Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show.
Welcome back as we continue here on KDKA. The Steelers were active this afternoon with 5 more selections in rounds 4 through 7 of the NFL Draft, and the 230th was the most emotional. The Steelers started in the 4th round with a return specialist out of Iowa named Caden Weegan. He was one of the best in the NCAA when it came to the return game in special teams. Pittsburgh also took the replacement for Connor Hayward in Riley Nowakowski, the fullback and tight end from the defending national champion Indiana Hoosiers. The Steelers also took a defensive lineman and safety, the hometown kid Eli Heidenreich, which was one of the most emotional moments of this day. More on that in a second. Charlie, what do you think about Weegan in another pick from Iowa Hawkeyes? 5th player taken from that school by the Steelers in the last 3 years, so they like Iowa.
They really do, and he's reuniting here with his former teammate. So obviously we were excited about it because we have two best of the batch kids that were able to make that announcement. And look what he's doing in this special teams game, something that's lacked the Steelers over the years. They have to get those explosive plays. That's what he brings to this roster right now.
All right, we mentioned a lot of guys on this draft board. One is a national champion, a versatile player for the Hoosiers. Do you see him competing with Connor Hayward's role at this point, or do you think he'll be used in another way, Nowakowski?
Yeah, when you lose Hayward and Jonnu Smith, you need that H-type back. He provides that fullback, tight end, and that allows you now to create matchup problems against that defense. That is the specialty of Mike McCarthy. Look for him to be involved early in his career.
All right, what a story to have Mount Lebanon and Navy product Eli Heidenreich drafted by the hometown Pittsburgh Steelers. Really a dream come true for Eli, a very deserving reward for his time at the Naval Academy. Charlie, you know a thing or two about coming back to play for your hometown team. How special was it for you watching how this life changing moment affected a guy like Eli Iheanachor?
Yeah, it was a lot of memories for me, and it was emotional because I'm like, wow, just to hear your name called. But when you were a child and playing this game, your dream is to put on that black and gold and be so close to home. His family was super excited about it, and he was extremely emotional behind it because of those reasons. I'm excited for him and what he's bringing to this team.
What a day for the Iheanachor family. And back to the South Side now. Rich Walsh, who has more on the Steelers wrapping up the final day of this 3-day draft. Rich?
Well, the Steelers started with 12 picks. They ended with 10, and I know there are mixed reviews from experts and fans of how good this draft is, but only time will tell, and I can tell you it's offensive heavy, and the Steelers like it, and that's all that matters.
You have to trust your board. I've always looked at the draft board similar, to calling a huge game, but obviously with a lot more energy in it. I mean, there's so much time and energy goes into putting that board together, and it's this draft this weekend was very refreshing when you see need hit value, when value hits need, and so when you get down to those picks, you're usually talking about 2, 3, 4 players, and but it really did. It is. We did not go into the draft saying we're going to take so many offensive players or so many defensive players. We wanted to raise the level, of our talent, and we're aware of positions that we would probably want to add to.
And we can't always base our opinions on mock drafts. That Steelers do their own homework, and if they really like a guy they think fits, you take him because he might not be there the next time the Steelers have a pick. Guys?
Yeah. Rich, thanks very much. Appreciate your efforts all week long from Steeler headquarters. Running out of time here on the Steeler Draft Wrap-Up Show. When we look back, or come back, I should say, we're going to take a look back at free agency. That's next, right here on KDKA.
Welcome back to the UPMC Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show.
Charlie, I don't think there was a busier man than you this weekend around the NFL draft. I saw you and Latasha on the stage representing the best of the batch. Tell us about all the things you did because you needed to clone yourself.
It was amazing. It started with the Mel Blount Rose. Then it started with a ribbon cutting at Hazelwood. You see Roger Goodell right there visiting Best of the Batch Foundation. We were over at Duquesne Elementary School. So these are things that we were ultimately doing all through the week. We were over 20 events, and man, it was exciting to see everybody. We're truly grateful for everybody that believes in what we're doing at Best of the Batch Foundation, but also what everybody else did around the city because it was truly phenomenal.
Congratulations for Mel Blount's award. That's a big one for you. You got roasted pretty heavily, too, by the way. The Steelers were one of the more active teams in free agency this spring, and some glaring needs were filled pretty quickly. Let's take a look at what we have here in place. Michael Pittman, of course, they traded for him, then signed the wideout to an extension. They then signed the best free agent corner on the board in Jamel Dean from Tampa Bay, another hometown kid. Jaquan Brisker was added from Chicago, and then running back Rich Dowdle signed from Carolina. Sebastian Joseph Day, the defensive lineman, came over from the Titans. Charlie, what will Pittman bring to this offense, and how important is he for DK Metcalf?
Yeah, you need somebody on the other side that can stretch the field. He brings that head to sides, the physicality that you want to go across the middle, stretch the field. So that is needed. And then when you're talking about the offense and being able to move those guys around, that is going to be key to keep the defense off balance.
All right, a lot to look forward to. And when we come back, we're going to put the final touches on this program as you are watching Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show right here on KDKA.
Welcome back to the UPMC Steelers Draft Wrap-Up Show.
Well, the draft is now over, but that doesn't mean the NFL stops because it's like a year-round event anymore. Some of the key dates we'll be looking forward to coming up here. Rookie minicamp begins May 8th. Then you have Steeler OTAs, 2 segments of them, middle of May until the end of May, then mandatory minicamp. This is where Aaron Rodgers made his decision last year. Hopefully it's before then. Then Steelers OTA, June 8th to 12th, training camp to be announced, but you know that's late July. So, Charlie, overall thoughts about what you saw today from the city and also from the Steelers in making their picks?
Yeah, when you see everything that happened, being able to put on an event like this, nobody thought that Pittsburgh can be able to pull that off, but it showed people around the world that Pittsburgh is capable of putting on and hosting an event like this. Kudos to everyone who was involved. And now as we wait for those key dates, before you get to the mini camps and OTAs, right around March 15th is schedule release.
Schedule
release.
People
will be waiting for that.
That's become a big event, too, because people want to know when these games are going to be played. You know the opponents. We'll tell you all about that coming up in May. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a busy week at the UPMC Roney Sports Complex, and we thank everyone who contributed to this broadcast. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you as the NFL season unfolds on KDKA.